And welcome back. Today we are flying out the ME262 C-2B, and this used to be one of my favorites, one of my all-time favorites. That's why I have like 1000 kills in the damn thing. But I haven't flown it in about 2 years, which has a pretty decent reason. This thing has been power crapped into oblivion, it has been nerfed directly and indirectly. The fuel amount has been lowered a little bit, and most of the maps have been just a little bit bigger, nerfing this thing even more. And then you're looking at some new additions like the SU-11, the LA200 at 7.7. And when you get up there, you face, well, sometimes you face planes with afterburners. And if you can outrun this thing, you will be completely golden. And there's really nothing this plane can do to you as long as you keep your speed. So I'm not going to be showing you how I die over and over. Today we're going to look at some things in ideal situations when you can make this thing work. And very often you just won't be able to. It will be on you probably a little bit, don't get me wrong, but there's a very big part where you are just outclassed. Your acceleration, which used to be a very strong suit of this thing, isn't as impressive anymore. You got planes like the SU-11, the Swift F7, the Scimitar, the F-89s, and a whole plethora of new planes that completely outclass this thing, or at least hold with it. I'm not sure why this thing is still 8.0. Well, it should be. In the matchmaker that we have right now, in the compressed state, this thing does not deserve 8.0. This thing can do absolutely nothing against something like a Lim 5 on F2. It already used to be pretty bad against F2s, MiG-17s, and now with the bigger maps, the less fuel, and just missiles in general. Going up, stalling yourself out, stalling someone out and getting missiled from 5 kilometers away is something that will happen. And it's extremely frustrating. It's a shame. I still really like this thing. It's in a very rough spot right now, and it's very hard to do well with it as of currently. Now you can get your occasional freak show, and of course on top of everything, your guns, they're piss slow, and I'm gonna be missing a lot today. I'm really not used to these things anymore. I haven't used this plane in particular in almost 2 years. I think it's more than 2 years actually. And sure, I've flown the A1A, but you know, the guys you're shooting at are a lot slower than, well, you will find at 9.0. And to all my patrons, as well as the people that have donated in the last few days, thank you very much. The support has been very welcome. And as you might have noticed, I've been uploading a hell of a lot more lately, and I'm going to continue this streak for at least 5 more days. So be sure to click all the buttons down below so you don't miss anything. I'm gonna see if I can keep this up for a while, but start expecting at least 3 videos every week from now on. But enough of the shilling, you're here for some gameplay and something that I really like doing, and you want to make sure that at the start of the match you don't use too much rocket fuel. So you want to make sure that you open properly and you're staying on the deck like this. Because at the end of the game, when people are climbing and they're trying to get away from your team, sometimes it's funny to do this. You stay low, you stay out of their spotting range, you stay about 800 kilometers an hour, and then you slowly but surely just pitch up straight into them. And if they don't see you, and most of the time they won't, you will very easily close this gap. And you'll see right now that we are gaining slowly but surely. It's mostly because we are cutting him off. He is faster than us currently. But if you can cut him off and get close enough, then we might actually be able to gun him down. If he's not paying attention. If he starts maneuvering, I only have 15 seconds of fuel plus a little bit of booster time. It's not going to be very great. He's going to dive out right here. He's trying to get away from us. We're going to spray at him, and we end up getting a few black puffs and doing absolutely fuck all for damage. He then fucks off the Narnia. He's going to just dive out. He's going to run away. If we had a little bit more rocket fuel and fuel in general, then we might be able to catch him in the short run. But at the end of the day, we can't really do much against him. So A5 Sabre coming in. We are going about 750. We start boosting a little bit prematurely to build up that speed. And I want to get both of these stuck in the same fight. Now right now I'm just doing a little bit of a spiral. I'm pulling both of them up. I'm seeing if one of them wants to stick, or both preferably, because if one starts breaking off and I'm pulling back in, they're very annoying to actually deal with, because they turn so much better than us that it's very easy for them to simply quote unquote prop hang us and just point their nose right on our planes. And 50 cals, this thing is very susceptible to damage. Now it won't die very quickly, but if you get hit once or twice, you are probably looking at 2 black wing roots, even when you get shot at by 50 cals. Now we stall this guy out. He's way too slow to really do anything. We just fall on top of him, hold the trigger down just to be sure, because I barely get my nose on target, and that's going to be kill number 1. Now second guy comes in, and I'm going to try to do the exact same thing as we just did. So trying to merge with around 800. We don't want to go too fast, we don't want to compress. I'm not gonna take the head on. His velocity or his gun velocity is so much higher. No real reason to take that, and by the time you get within your gun range, he's already hitting you. Now, you don't want that. Now we go horizontal here. We want him to pull up for us, and he does. I break my flaps off, unfortunately, but nothing we can't deal with. And here I'm a little bit too aggressive. I should have waited about 4 to 5 seconds longer, and I would have killed him just like the first one. But look at his turn rate. It's an absolute boat. And that's about 4 Gs less than that guy will pull at those speeds, which is very frustrating. We still have him by the balls, however. Now, it however doesn't really matter, because you need to work quite hard to get kills in this thing. The enemy needs to let themselves be killed, and even if they realize at the very last moment they can disengage and they do it, then you're there without kills and they will simply outrun you. Bonus points if he actually has an airfield nearby and he can just run towards that, because you compress too much and at lower speeds you can dodge the missile. Win-win, really, it's fantastic. F-84 coming in from the side, so we pull up and over him, and we want him to stick the fight here, because the F-84B, well, it does pull quite a bit of AOA and he might get a very early shot in. The second you dodge the first shot, he is essentially dead in the water and he can't really do much anymore. F-80 coming in from the right, and we do the exact same thing. We just kind of go sideways. We hope for him to pitch up after us. He doesn't, so we turn the boosters back off, and then we notice that the other F-84 is now finally committing to us. So we turn back around yet again and see if we can kill one of these. He's gonna pull right into us. He rolls out of the way, and you can tell my nose just simply does not want to move. I pointed somewhere, and aiming this thing is absolutely appallingly bad. You need to predict what they're gonna do, and when they do it, you need to lead into the future. And then on top of that, they need to not be aware of the fact that you're getting a shot, because if they are aware of it, likely you're not gonna be hitting them. Now F-80 is pitching up after us. I'm gonna pull this guy straight up for one of our teammates. Maybe he'll kill him, maybe he won't. So the F-80 is now kind of taken care of. At least he's occupied. So I will dive on the F-84, see if I can gun him down real quick. But he's rolling around, I can't move my nose. And well, the camera isn't working either. And of course I'm just underleading as per usual in this thing. If I could aim this thing like I did in 2020, I think it was, that'd be fantastic. I have a montage for that if you want to actually see that one. But I just can't use this thing anymore. It's also power crept into oblivion, of course, as I said before, but it's also a little bit of a skill issue. But we kill the F-80, we gotta stall this guy out, and then we go for the next guy, which is the F-84. And let's see if we can actually pull a nose in this time. I doubt it, however. I waited a little bit too long. I'm now gaining on him. I'm very, very close. I'm too close. He turns so much better than us at these speeds. So he's now on our 6. He's probably going to try and pitch up for us. So we just go straight up and we will stall him for one of our teammates. If you have a team around, this thing is pretty good because you can stall everyone out. But the 163 is just the same thing but better at it. Now here comes Hardy trying to be cool with his rockets. Except he can't aim his rockets and looks like a tool. Fuck you, Hardy. I'll see you in the comment section. Now I see this IL-28 struggling with an A4E on the 6. The A4E then breaks his wing off, but I'm not sure if the IL-28 crit him or not. So we just track the battle log real quick. Looks like he didn't actually hit him at all and he just broke his own wing off. So I will just be collecting this free kill now. And then we will turn around and see who we can engage next. IL-28 then thanks me. I think he thinks that I shot him from like 1.5 kilometers with these guns. I mean, thank you for thinking I would hit that, but he just broke his own wing off. Now A4E there. Yeah, he slams into the ground. We've seen F-89, and the F-89 is one of those planes I want to get out of the way as quickly as I can. Now I'm kind of in the dead spot. He is turning, he's going for someone else. He's completely oblivious, so we just pull in. We hold the trigger down. He was probably looking at someone else. And we've quickly disposed of him. And again, it's simply, you look around and you're looking for opportunistic targets. You can't really dictate fights on your own terms. So you will end up third-partying most people, or fighting people that want to commit to you and don't dive away. Now this vampire, I did kind of steal it, but I also know that that vampire is just going to RTB. And I don't want that. I want him out of the match, because vampires are one of those planes that you don't really want to fight in this thing. Because even though you have way more energy and you can stall them out, they have so much nose authority and so much instantaneous turn rate that your energy doesn't really matter. And they will very often just end up pulling the nose right on you, because they aren't very limited by the energy that they have. And it's the Italian one on top of that. So even if I go straight up, there's a very likely chance that he's within gun range as I'm going up. Now that's a very vulnerable position to actually be in. So I'd rather just get the vampire out of the way. Now the A5 Saber then kills one of my teammates, but he's way too slow to do anything, so I come in at the right time, right place, right time, and I gun him down. Now the reason I'm showing you this game is to show you that sometimes you just have to get lucky. Everyone is kind of just presenting themselves, everything is just kind of happening in front of me, and I'm going with the flow of the match, and that's the way you have to fly this thing. You have to just do whatever feels good to do next. You can't really plan your fight out in this thing, because if you try to force a certain battle plan, if you try to force a certain scenario, more likely than not it's not going to work, unless of course you're in a down tier or you're fighting something like an F80 or someone is sticking to you, then of course you can think about it. But in general there is no real way to fly this thing, other than of course in a 1v1 capitalizing on energy and hoping that they don't run away, because if the second they run away you're kind of just dead in the water. So you want to be alive in the water, try to be a fish in the water, and just go with the flow. Don't think about it, just do. And if you can aim, if you have some game sense, then maybe you'll get some performance out of it. It's not an easy plane to fly, it's a very simple plane to fly. Like I said this in the A4N video too. It's very simple, doesn't mean that it's easy. Now we are diving on this F9F and he's making us compress quite badly, and he's gonna maybe try to pitch up for us. He doesn't. So we then go up, we loop over, and we cut back into his fly pad. And because he doesn't try to stick this fight, we can simply just ride his ass. And the fact that we don't pull any away, and we don't have that much turn rate, we don't have air brakes, this thing doesn't like losing speed, and it compresses quite badly. So if you get on someone 6, and they're not flying like this, if he had actually tried to dogfight us, we would have been boned, because we are compressing completely. Instead, he's trying very, very hard to get back to his airfield, and doesn't try to fight us, and that's the reason he died. If he had just tried and attacked us, very likely he would have actually killed us, if not run us out of fuel. Now there's a B-57 ahead of us, and I know the gameplay I'm showing you as of right now isn't particularly interesting, but the reason I'm using this kind of gameplay where I get a lot of kills, almost 8, and then end up basically getting no good kills. Now sure, this is a decent gunnery, and the shot on the F9F wasn't bad. All in all, the kills weren't bad, but they're all kind of boring, because you just have to do whatever is presented in front of you. And we are now gliding back to base with 2 seconds of fuel. There's an F9F right below us, and the absolute muppet actually decides to try and dogfight us. We are dead. There's nothing we can do, and he's gonna try to stay in front of us very hard. He really wants to die to us. Yeah, I think he wants a cameo in the video, I guess. But down he goes. And there you have it, 7 kills. TU4 then lands and leaves. Was it interesting? Not really. But that's how most of the well, not really, because you're not really gonna get 7 kills very often. But that's how most of the kills are gonna look like, just individually. Now this is why I like this plane so much. We come into a furball, they're all kind of below us, we don't have people diving on us, so we can actually go vertical, we are up tiered. And the Su-11, I hate that thing, I absolutely loathe it. But everyone just dives away, which is again what everyone will do against you. If you pull people up, you don't have the turn rate to capitalize on the fact that you stall them out, it's not a 163. And you just end up chasing people and doing absolutely nothing. Now the MiG-9 here is presenting himself. So of course I go for him and not for the guys going full speed. So we gun him down real quick. We look around and we have 2 of them then gaining on us again. So what do? We turn the boosters on. And then we pull up over their noses. Now I can just pull them up in this direction and they will never get a shot on us. Because the Su-11 as well as the Uragan just don't turn well enough to do that. So if I just keep this loop up, Su-11 will not have the energy and we will stall on top of him. The Su-11 notices so. And he will just break off and fly into the opposite direction. Now he's going to engage the F80. I'm going to switch targets to the Uragan here, because he is occupied. He's probably looking at something else. He sees us last second, but at this point he is a little bit too slow. But we don't have any nose authority, and these guns are way too slow as well. So we go up and over, we loop him. We don't try to stick on the 6, and that's how you have to kill people if you are outrunning them. You do not want to stick on them, you don't want to try an air brake, or quote unquote air brake, you don't want to like brake on their 6. Because very often you're going to end up overshooting regardless, because you just simply cannot lose any speed. Now the Uragan now truly is too slow. We switch targets to him yet again, And we look around, SU-11 is too far away and the meteor is right below us. He's doing a full turn. So we are going to end up cutting him off. Hold the trigger down and down goes the meteor. Then everyone runs back to the airfield because of course that's what everyone does these days. Meteor, not sure which one it is, but I'm going to guess a Mark IV considering the altitude that he has. We're going to pop the boosters on and try to close the gap. He does some very wonky maneuver there, but I didn't have enough lead anyway, so it doesn't even matter if he hadn't dodged at all. And now I'm going to try and stay on this guy 6. He's at 400 meters. He's not going particularly fast. And he can just react to my rounds, which is annoying as all hell. He then keeps doing the same pattern and he keeps doing the same roll, so I just predicted, hold the trigger down and he flies straight into the round. But that's not going to be the only bad aim you're going to see in this one game. We turn back around and see the F2H is kind of damaged. So we're going to see if we can head on him. He pulls in, not really feeling that one. So we pull up and over the entire furball and we just don't engage anyone because I'm really not feeling getting third party, or more like fifth part. And then we dive on the Barugan that we missed earlier. We redeem ourselves and we third party him for the 4th kill of the match. Actually, because it's the Israeli one. We go horizontal, we wait for the meteor to stall out. We wait a little bit longer and then we pull straight into him. But look at his turn rate, never going to get that shot. I was expecting him to dive out to get a little bit of altitude, but instead he tries to stay within our turning circle. He does the right thing after doing the wrong thing, but he did the right thing in the end. So we close on this Uragan. I underlead completely, then he rolls out and I can't correct my plane because I'm compressing. Amazing. Now sure, that was horrible aim on my end, don't get me wrong, but the plane then, when he starts reacting, also doesn't allow me to pull my nose to where I want it to be. So I first miss it, I give away my position, and then the plane won't allow me to get the shot afterwards. So a little bit of a mixture of both. Uragan then kind of leaves us, so just pretend I killed him. Please pretend that I killed him. Meteor then flies under us, we underlead yet again. This was one of the earlier games, I think it was the second game that I did in it. And you can tell I'm just not having a great time with these guns. Meteor then pulls back into us. We don't have an ability to pull in there, so we just go up and over. We turn the afterburners on. I'm just going to call them afterburners, much easier. And we are going to go straight up. See if either of these guys want to take the bait. And luckily for us, they both do. We wait for the Uragan to get slow enough. We turn into him. And he is way too slow here and he can't really do anything. Meteor's coming in from the left. But I want to get this guy out of the match. He's trying to go head on with us. Not a great idea. We turn those boosters back on. And we are going to do the exact same thing twice in a row. This time to the Meteor. So we go up. We don't want to go too steep because then we lose quite a bit of speed. And he starts cutting us off. And we don't want that because then he will get a lot closer in gun range. So we just do the same thing. We go into a spiral. We wait for him to get slow enough. And once he is slow enough, we are just going to pull back down. There he goes. And even if he dives at this point, he is completely stalled out. He thought he was going to get the shot. He isn't. But no man, not many people fly this plane anymore. So he probably just thought I was a normal 262. He then tries to pull into us, but I just completely out-energy him in that scenario. Now we're going head on with this MiG-15, and the MiG-15 actually has comparable acceleration to us, unfortunately speaking. And everything else, he just does better. He is faster, he turns better, he has much better stall control. Of course, we do have that little bit of extra acceleration, especially in these verticals, because we have rocket boosters and we are on pretty low fuel right now. So we can just spiral this guy all day long. And then when we fall on top of him and we kill him, the problem is that half my file got corrupted, so you'll just have to believe me that I clicked him out of the... Well, you can see my ammo counter actually, I didn't use that much ammo, it's not like I missed everything. But yeah. A bit unfortunate, but I'm gonna use this for the background material anyway, because we are camping them on the next to the airfield. Not the most interesting gameplay anyway. Well, to be honest, most of the footage today hasn't been really interesting, and that's just unfortunately how this plane plays. And there's a lot of planes that people keep requesting, and they all end up playing like this because you don't really have tangible advantages. I'm sure this one has a slight advantage and has another frame drop for you. Yeah, my recording is going a little bit wild lately. I need to get that fixed, especially if I'm going to start spamming out videos here soon. For tomorrow I have the MiG-19S, the German one, on the schedule. And that one will have a little bit more fights because you can actually dictate some things, because you have, you know, actual good flight performance, which is a lot more fun to commentate on, and also I think more fun to watch. But, you know, I think the Opinions are divided on that one. So the F9F right here is going to pull into our guns, but he's going to get missiled from the heavens. Down he goes. We roll back over and get right on the 6 of the MiG-17. Hope you all enjoyed it. See you all tomorrow and have a nice day.